Hey, how's it going? It is Friday, June 26th, and this is the Morning Star Drive on 117.8. We're on YouTube, so make sure to subscribe, follow us on SoundCloud, and make sure to support us on Patreon. Today we'll get some coronavirus updates, the second segment in the new program on personalities from Woncheon in Korea, and answering questions from listeners. So, how you guys doing? You guys must be really happy because it is Friday, and of course on Friday it's the end of the week. The weekend is upon us, and I hope you guys are looking forward to an amazing weekend. So let's just end this week well and do it together here on the Morning Star Drive. Keep liking, keep commenting. I want to hear from you guys and see how you're doing. Post your song requests, post your stories, anything you want, go ahead and just post them there. Now, remember, this Sunday we're going to meet a member from Malaysia, Mayfen Lim. Look forward to this amazing interview. She talks about her life as a model, an actress, a producer, what are her future plans, just the amazing things and the story she has with the Lord in the past. So I really hope that you guys will enjoy these Sunday edition interviews. It is really a time that all of us get to meet each other in a different way. We get to see what different members have gone through, their stories with the Lord, with God, and just seeing the difference in their life from before and after. So make sure to check it out this Sunday, Mayfen Lim from Malaysia. So let's get into the featured artist of the week. It is Justar Aiden Verity, and like we said, we're going to do for sure is her new song, Believe in Me, comes out today. So you're going to hear it for the first time on this podcast. And after, just make sure you go onto her SoundCloud and go check out her other songs too. But the song is Believe in Me. We're going to listen to the intro again, and then we'll go straight into the song. And the second song you'll hear after that will be from Sung Beats. And that song is going to be what? It's going to be, that's going to be the second song right after, once again, Justar Aiden Verity, her amazing new song called Believe in Me. So once again, we're going to listen to the intro first, then we'll hear the song, and the second song after that is Sung Beats and Believe in Me.
Hi, this is Justar Aiden Verity. I wrote my new song, Believe in Me, to express a difficulty I had and to remember that moment so I can look back on it in the future and see just how far I've come. I'm releasing this song on Friday because I know that there must be people who also find it difficult to believe in themselves. I want you to know that you're not alone and you can do it.
She can't see to the future. No matter how hard she tries, a piece of heaven chipped off and fell to her. But it's so heavy to carry. Some call it a dream or a heartache, 'cause it's so hard to believe in me. Till I can say I believe in me. How long till I can say
Trinity, you fulfilled everything. It was so difficult, we'll never know what you went through, but even so, we praise you and will amaze you as we testify so people learn the truth and realize what you have really gone through. We'll preach till everyone on earth has heard the story of how you fulfilled your purpose until they offer glory. Just as you give to us, see what we've done, so we'll give to you, cause you've overcome. We will offer you praise, cause this history is won. 6,000 years you persevered, now the rapture's begun. Trinity, I'm so thankful I could see the day you raptured all our spirits up to you. I have experienced it, I know it's true. I've seen it, I have received it. Now I will testify so people learn the truth and realize how much you really do. I'll preach till everyone on earth has heard the story of how you fulfilled your purpose until they offer glory. Just as you give to us, seeing what we've done, so we'll give to you, cause you overcome. We will offer you praise, cause this history is won. 6,000 years persevered, now the rapture has begun. Just as you've chosen me out of everyone, now I will love you alone, I won't be outdone. I'll take your thoughts as my head, make our purpose one, and I will stay till the end. I will always run, I'll run. I'll run, because you've overcome, because this history has won. Just as you give to us, see what we've done, so we'll give to you, cause you've overcome. We will offer you praise, cause this history is won. 6,000 years persevered, now the rapture's begun. Just as you've chosen me out of everyone, I will love you alone, I won't be outdone. I'll take your thoughts as my head, make our purpose one, and I will stay till the end, I will always run.
And there you have it. That was Sung Beats in that song. Really, really good song. A lot of people requested that is I'll Run. But of course, the one, the debut we just heard here is Juice-Star, Aiden Verity, and that song was Believe in Me. I hope you guys really like that song. I actually think I have to replay that song again, but it's such a good song. So I hope that you guys really enjoyed it. Man, I hope that you guys can keep supporting her and go onto her SoundCloud and listen to it again. She got a bunch of songs on there, and I think the newest ones, she's getting some really good production out of it, and she's getting them professionally produced. So it's like this song we just heard now, Believe in Me. Also, Holy House was the first one. Wisdom is the best. And the one that she just did for the Bubble, was it the Bubble Bop contest? Right, so go check it out on her SoundCloud and listen and just support her. We really need to support all these artists we have in this history. And the good thing about it is they're good, right? They're not like these people we're trying to support, but they're not that. But it's hard to listen to. But all of our artists, like from the Sumney Boys, Mariah Henry, we have Aiden Verity. Up in Japan with Kuma-Chung, and then we have RJR. We have a bunch of these people. They're really, really good. I just hope that more and more artists come out because these guys are like the pioneers, just paving the way. Now, you could feel it. They're paving the way for this history, especially for artists when it comes to music. So I really hope that we could pray for them too and make sure their music kind of spreads to the world that positive message and the message of this history. Cool. So that brings us into the coronavirus updates for the day. It is already Friday. I'm sure a lot of you are thinking about a lot of different things also. But let's take a look at what's happening in the world. The global what's happening in the world. So not what's happening in the global. Oh my gosh, I'm teaching you bad English. All right, what's happening in the world right now? We got 9.5 million cases in the world with 486,000 deaths. And once again, this is not surprising anymore. Even though cases are going up, seriously, this mortality rate is just going way down. It's going to be hitting under 5% as the global rate pretty soon because it's at 5.08%. We're basically 5% right now. The U.S. is dropping even faster with 2.5 million cases, 124,000 deaths with 5.05%. Right, the global and the U.S. Mortality rate, they're going to go under 5% pretty soon. Probably by Monday, it'll be under 5%. Brazil at the moment is 1.2 million cases, 54,000 deaths, and 4.52%. So they're healthily under the average. India, 475,000 cases, 15,000 deaths at 3.14. Darn it, they used to be at 3.16, but now down to 3.14. Mexico's in the top 6 of most cases, and there are 197,000 cases, 24,000 deaths at 12.36%. And Mexico's one of the top 6. Actually, there's 2 countries in the top 6 that are kind of the rates are going up, and Mexico's at 12.36%, and their mortality rate's going up. South Africa just the same. They just came into the picture 2 days ago. 112,000 cases, 2,200 deaths, and at 2%, so it's not too bad. We're not sure if they're underreported or not. I haven't seen much on South Africa at the moment. Just looking at the rate of Sweden, one of the only, well, probably of all the countries, one of the only countries that didn't go into lockdown. They're down to 8.36%. They were at almost 13% at one point within like maybe a month and a half ago. They're down to 8.36%. So it looks like if it keeps going down, they did actually a really great job by protecting the elderly and also those that are at risk. But just so far, it looks like it's going way down. If it hits under 5%, you know that it was strategy was well done. Like they're trying to do herd immunity, and the one thing we learned is they'll take all the deaths in the beginning and slowly it'll slow down in the end. And of course, if you do lockdown, you slow the deaths in the beginning and then it comes out later. So, but the bigger thing that's kind of crazy about lockdowns is you're ruining the economy. So that's the one thing that is huge danger when it comes to doing a lockdown. Belgium too, even though they only went down 0.02%, they're down to 15.94%. And when we look at the top six countries where cases are going the highest, right now it's Brazil. And for 2 days straight, it's already over 40,000 cases in a day. They had 41,000 just yesterday. The U.S. at 38,000. Also, I believe it's one of the highs for the U.S. in the daily counts. But once again, their death rate is very, very low. The U.S. is at 2% and Brazil's at 4%. India is at 17,000 cases a day at 4%. South Africa is the highest in percentage with 5% at 5,700 cases. And Mexico's at 6,300 cases for a growth rate of 3%. So what does that mean right now? And I'm sure a lot of you guys are wondering. This is one of the things that have been really fun for me. And the reason why it's so fun is because it's about these personality tests, right? And, doing research on the Big Five, on Myers-Briggs, and the 16 personalities, a lot of these are researched really well. And if you take, have you guys taken the test yet on 16personalities.com? It's really, really fun and interesting. And I had a great conversation with Wonchun and Yonsei about how this personality traits work. It's really interesting, and I found it. It could be a big tool in learning how to become united because you get to learn what other people are like. But we're going to go straight into it right now. This is Wonchun. He's going to do his second segment. So let's listen up to today's segment on personalities.
Hey guys, so this is Wonchun, and today we're going to be continuing to learn about MBTI, Myers-Briggs Type Indicator. So last week we talked about the 4 letters that make up your type. And there's 16 types. They fall into one category, and I am, just for example, an ENFP. So like in terms of purpose, the purpose of type characterization is to understand how we process information through cognitive functions, like how we think, how we mentally process information, and how we reason. And like why we're going to learn about this is, we all want to know our strengths, right? And we also want to learn about our weaknesses, because we're all about development and becoming a more balanced person. Okay, so just as a cautionary, I wouldn't say I'm trying to promote MBTI, to everyone, but I think that it's a really useful tool, and I think the primary way, to learn and to develop ourselves is to live taking action on the Word of God, and live with the Holy Spirit. And every day we're living, resurrecting, and rapturing with the Lord. But learning tools like this can really complement what we have already learned, and help us to see ourselves more clearly based on that foundation of truth, that structure that we already have, that's in place, that's mature. Meaning, we should really be mature and responsible when we learn, for the sake of developing ourselves. So yeah, this is rated AO, adults only. Okay, so continuing, there are 16 types. For example, I said I'm an ENFP, but today we're going to be talking about ESTP. And EST stands for extroverted sensing, thinking, and perceiving. ESTP. Okay, so we have these 4 letters, and so what do we do with it now? So we got to figure out our cognitive functions. So we have 4 from ranking 1 to 4. The first being our dominant function, and the second being like our second strongest function. Okay, and you can say like the dominant function is like the driver of the whole operation. And next to that, you have your second, which is like the co-driver. And we'll talk about number 3 and 4 like next time. Okay, so we have 4 cognitive functions, and the first function is either an extroverted or introverted, but because we already know ESTP, we already know we got that. So our main dominant function is extrovert, E. Okay, and okay, I'll explain how to use this. So we have an E or an I, and these are like our attitudes or orientation, how we reflect and are energized. Like for E, extroversion, it's directed out, and introversion is directed inwards. Okay, so ESTP, our dominant first function is extroverted, and so it always has an introverted counterpart, so an E and the second being I, and that balances it out. Okay, so now we need to pair those first and second, the E and the I, with mental functions. Okay, so first is, the first one, the E and the I, they just are kind of our attitudes or our orientation. But we have these 4 mental functions: thinking, feeling, sensing, and intuition. Thinking is how we judge situations logically. Feeling is how we judge them ethically. Sensing is how we interact with the sensory world. And intuition is how we visualize the future and interact with ideas. Okay, so we have all 4 of these, and we need to pair them with the extroversion or the introversion. So ESTP, our first function, is a dominant SE. So we paired the sensing with that extroversion, because sensing is our strongest suit. Okay, and E is paired with S. So this in turn has a counterpart, and so we have that T. So we got T next, right? So T is an introverted counterpart, making TI. So we have SE as the dominant function and TI as the second function. So just as, fun fact, Donald Trump, he is an ESTP. So yeah, what a combination. So just shortly run you through what SE and TI mean. SE is, is extroverted sensing, meaning they use their senses to understand the world around them and how to handle real and solid information instead of just ideas or gut feelings like intuitives. So they live in the moment and they need to experience the world around them to be happy. And TI, introverted thinking, is how they understand the world, as well as how to develop their talents and skills. So this is, the ESTP's second function in this kind of functional stack out of 4. And it operates mostly like subconsciously. Okay, so you don't really think about it; it just kind of works. And it works together with the SE, doing like analysis on information and ideas brought in by that SE function. So it makes logical, like a logical framework, real information. What is, logical, like what is logical and not? It figures it out, and then it, organizes it and whether to use it or not. So the TI kind of serves the SE and uses it as a tool to solve like problems. Wow, okay, that's a lot of information, right? So I hope that all made sense. And there's 2 more kind of number 3 and number 4 cognitive functions that we need to talk about, but we will do it next time. So yeah, please join us for next time. And I hope that you learned something for today. And yeah, what are you? Have you done the test and what you are? So thanks and enjoy your day, guys. See ya.
All right. Thank you so much, Won-Chun. Awesome. I think a lot of people are looking forward to this again. And honestly, I'm going to tell you guys, I took this test like 3 times. And yeah, it's really interesting. And some things you do have to look at is, remember, you're taking the test when, like, the one thing I noticed, that the thing that changed me the most is you're not taking the test doing like answering the questions of what you want to become or what you want to be like, but it is what you actually would do, right? Because there's a big difference of, like, sometimes, like, you might listen to a message from something that says, develop yourself. You got to develop yourself. Like, oh my gosh, I need to be a person that's more sensitive. And then when you look at these questions, it's like talking about sensitivity, and you might be thinking, no, I should be like this. But you got to be like super honest with yourself. And you know what? One thing that Won-Chun told me was, sometimes you got to have someone who holds you accountable, like right next to you. And when you're about to write the answer, that person's going to be like, no, man, you're not like that. You're like, nope, you're definitely not like that kind of thing, right? So it's fun. Take a look at it. Obviously nothing is going to be 100%, but a lot of people who've done it, they see parts of them like, oh, wow, this is really what I'm like. So I found it quite interesting. But the biggest part that I find the best about this is being able to knowing other people, what their character's like, and being able to handle them better, right? Like either whatever area it is, I can go up to their level, go down to the level, or whatever it is, right? So thank you so much, Won-Chun, and we're looking forward to the next week's episode. I almost wish that you did it more than once a week, but, we'll do once a week for now. All right, that brings us into the time of praise, right? We're going to have a time of praise, and of course, this is a weekend, so what does the weekend make us feel? It makes us feel very happy. So we're going to listen to the first song is Happy Person. And the second song is another one that we can sing together, and that one's going to be To Love the Lord.
Every day, Lord, as we follow you, we're still filled with joy. Lord, the path that you walked, that's the path of the will, rapture, and love. Now God's will has been fulfilled on this path to the golden city of heaven. Though the world, they turned you away, you fulfill God's will in the end. Now the banquet of God will go on for 1,000 years. You who are bright, diligently live with love. Even as seasons bring rain and snow, tribulations come and go, but with hearts that never will change, you must live like the Lord. of God's love, reaching the city of gold. Loving the Lord, Spirit and Son, loving our God for eternity, living in love evermore. Now the banquet of God will go on for 1,000 years. You who are bright, diligently live with love. Even as seasons bring rain and snow, tribulations come and go. But with hearts that never will change, you must live like the Lord. You will be bright of God's love, reaching the city of gold. Loving the Lord, Spirit and Son, loving our God for eternity, living in love evermore. Now the banquet of God will go on for 1,000 years. You who are bright, diligently live with love. Even as seasons bring rain and snow, tribulations come and go. But with hearts that never will change, you must live like the Lord. You will be bright of God's love, reaching the city of gold. Loving the Lord, Spirit and Son, loving our God for eternity, living in love evermore. Living in love evermore. Oh, I didn't know his burning heart, or just how much he loved me. I only just believed in him, and I loved him in my own way. Oh, I was so young, my heart was weak. If only I had loved him first. He always gave such love to me. I received but failed to repay. What does it truly mean to love the Lord? It's to keep the words he's given me, living for his will. What does it truly mean to love the Lord? It's to do the things he wants every single day. Now I have realized, my Lord, now I know your heart, now I know your love. trust him with my heart and thoughts, acting on his word. To the end, what does it truly mean to love the Lord? Is to keep the words he's given me, living for his will. What does it truly mean to love the Lord? Is to do the things he wants every single day. Now I have realized, my Lord, now I know your heart. Now I know your love. I know, my Lord. Now I know your heart. Now I know your love. I know, my Lord.
And that is To Love the Lord. I hope you guys enjoyed that song. It's really one of those moving songs that it's like timeless because you can sing it anytime. It is super, super moving. The first song we also heard was Happy Person, and I'm sure that's a song that everyone like kind of feels good about, especially going into this weekend. A lot of things going to happen. Like what? Oh, for me is I get to go on vacation, so I'm gonna take 2 days off. I'm gonna go to a special place in Malaysia. It's gonna be a cafe. That's my vacation. I'm gonna spend 2 days at a cafe, just relaxing. No, actually, it's gonna be a members cafe all the way. It's about an hour. I think it's like an hour and a half drive. It's not too far away, but our members got their own cafe called Jalan Theater, and Jalan also in English, it's Malay, but it's translated to street, I believe, street or road. So I'm gonna be heading over there starting tomorrow. So I'm gonna have a really fun time. Just happy about that. So I'm cool. I'm feeling good, especially about this weekend coming up also. So it is Friday. So what we do on Fridays is we take questions, like other questions, questions that people have asked me during the week or from a listener. Today we're gonna get a question from a listener today. And the situation is what everyone goes through. This is not exclusive to one person. Because if it was way too personal, then it'd be like, oh my gosh, this is too hard for me, right? But this is something that everyone goes through. So just listen to this, right? So the question is about, from the time coming to Providence, just been trying to evangelize, but there's no success. Wherever they went, you've heard this before, right? Snow or rain or sleet or like cyclones, tornadoes, F5s, whatever it is, nice weather, bad weather, even if there's a flood that's above my head, I went out to evangelize, right? Going out to universities, going out there, meeting people, making friends, and, with the purpose to evangelize. And it's just like so few people come, right? So few people come to service, so few people come to do Bible study, and even the ones that do Bible studies, it's like, oh, it's still so hard. And sometimes it's just like relationships come up, and like even the ones that you feel like this is it, this is the good one, like they end up leaving. So even when people are so hopeful, by the end that hope is gone, and it actually hurts more the more and more you do it, because you're putting everything in. You're putting everything in, you're taking care of them, and then even like your best lecturer or your pastor's teaching them, and you just do your best. You just poured your love into it. And like sometimes people, you could see them in the beginning, they love it, they acknowledge it, they think that something seems amazing, whatever it is, and then all of a sudden a relationship happens or whatever happens, and they just stop. And like, it gets to a point where like you just got no energy. Like when it comes, like even when you hear the message where someone seems like, hey man, come on, we got to evangelize. But by that time, you're just, you're spent. You have no energy left to put into it. And it's almost, it's like not even about no more energy. Because you have energy to do things. It's just not energy to evangelize because you've just been through it too many times. And you've been hurt too many times with people who you've just loved so much, but they didn't stay. And it gets to a point that you can even start to hate evangelism. Because it's not because you hate evangelism, it's because of all the hurt and the trauma you've been through because of evangelism, right? And all all the energy, the love, the pouring out of your heart. And, even when you tell them how much God loves them and you try to, you cry in front of them or whatever it is, they just don't stay. They just don't. And now, once again, you're thinking to yourself that you should go out, but right? You can't help but keep thinking in your head that, man, it's not going to work. It's never worked. Has anyone really come? If I brought any, is this my fault? Or, how do we get the joy of evangelism back? How do we get the joy of talking to people about God again? And how can we evangelize with with hope, with that hope you had before? Remember before you had that hope before? Every time you went out, you had such a big hope and you just wish. But how do you go back out again when it's hard to get that hope? So once again, Sunsi talks about evangelism, but it's so hard. Just pour yourself back into it. And this is a great question, because this is something that a ton of people, you know what the fun thing that's kind of even more discouraging? I'm gonna say discouraging because there's like some people, like they just go out and they meet people and they pass. And you kind of look at them like, what? There's some people, right? They just go out there and pass, right? They bring out 3 people and 2 of them pass. You're like, what? Right? This person, you hear some other people like, oh yeah, man, like, so I was like totally evangelizing, and then like, yeah, it was kind of a rough year because I only evangelized 4 people, and the year before I did 7. So, and you're like kind of listening to them, you're like, oh my. And the only reason I'm making that voice is because that's what it sounds like to the people who are discouraged. Right? I'm not saying that these people who evangelize a lot actually sound like this, because these people are probably really, really good speakers, and they're, but it's to the people who have, have lost their strength. It sounds like, so like I was like meeting someone, and then they just told me they want to meet the Lord right now, and they wish he was Korean. You're like, what? Where do you meet these people? Right? And you people just start freaking out. And it's true, right? It's something that when you get to the point of discouragement and nothing ever works, we kind of, you don't want to do it again, because you don't want to go through that emotional roller coaster again. So this is a great question, and I want to bring up a couple points that we need to really think about too. Okay, so one of the things I do want to bring up is when we go to evangelize, it's interesting because we go with the purpose to evangelize, right? Which means that your whole soul purpose is just searching, like you're like bug eyes, like these really big eyes, searching for this person who's ready. And you know what? People can feel it. Right? Like if you see someone with bug eyes, it's like they haven't slept in like 20 days and their eyes are bloodshot and red, looking for this perfect life. Roar, I'm going to devour them, right? What's going to happen is it's very difficult because, it's the purpose is to evangelize, which means that it's very, very hard to love people because the purpose is to evangelize. And what I found that was very interesting is when people have made things a daily life, like you just really, really love people. Like you like meeting people, regardless if it's for evangelism or not. If you're someone who genuinely just likes people, take care of people, it's like what I talked about yesterday during my, I talked about evangelism. Helping this person had nothing to do with evangelism. It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to evangelize this person. It was more of, wow, this person, oh, they're really looking, what? I should help this person. I get inspired to help them, right? But the purpose wasn't evangelism. It was just to help them without anything in return, right? It wasn't anything in return. And I think one of the things that we have to start getting ourselves back into is not so much, let's get back into evangelism. It's kind of like, let's get back into just loving people. Not worrying about what they've done. Because I think that's something that we have to think about in our minds too, is like, if you think about the way God treats us, honestly, has anyone done anything that great? Even if you evangelize 10 people, is it really that great? And the answer is not really. It's not really that great. But he still forgives and he still loves us no matter what. And we have to kind of get our minds out of that results-driven or this meritocracy where you have to have merit before you come to God or whatever it is, or you feel shameful that you have no merit. And the answer is you have so, like if you think about just person to person, there is so much merit. Like everything I just talked about before, like someone who went out rain or shine, snow, floods, tornadoes, swept me up, threw me to the ground, pushed me around. I got attacked by a bear, but I still tried to evangelize the bear. Whatever it is, right? However crazy it sounds, that in itself is merit. Like that is something that's amazing. And this was something that was so great to hear from Sunstein probably about 2 months ago. He said that don't think that you only get merit when you evangelize someone. Just the fact you go out, that is evangelism. That is evangelism. God sees that as evangelism. For us in our minds, we think evangelism is only if they pass, and that's evangelism. And that's completely wrong to what God thinks. And you have to understand why God thinks this way, right? One of the things, especially I want to do when we do lecture training and stuff, is that people need to understand the concepts of what we're learning and what we're understanding when it comes to the words of God and the 30 lessons. See, if everything was really based on results, like a meritocracy, everything's on merit, then we have a major problem. That's a major problem. That if we think that there has to be some type of merit, like they have to pass. Because that is under the assumption that we have the power to make people come and realize. Like we can force them to do something. If we had the power to do this, then it would be our fault if they didn't get evangelized, right? It's true, right? If you think about it, if we have the power to change people's hearts and minds, if we have the power to force and make them do something, then if they don't realize, it's our fault because we have the power to make them do it. But you have to think about this very carefully. We don't have the power to do that. Not even God has the power to do it. If God had the power to do it, don't you think everyone would be evangelized and everyone would come to God? It doesn't work that way. Like we learned in the predestination lecture that people have free will and responsibility. This is absolute. People have their own choice. Even to, think about this. People have their own choice, and their choice is so free, it's even to the point they can reject God. That's how free they are. They can actually reject God. As crazy as that sounds, they can reject God. If results is the most important thing, then you got to think about this. God isn't very good either, because even the Bible says that more people go into hell than they're going to heaven, which means God's terrible too. God, you're not that much better. Like most of the people aren't even going to heaven. It's not a result. It's not a meritocracy. It's not results based and driven. It is action driven, which means what? It is obedience driven, which means what? So people need to change the frame of mind when it comes to evangelism. It's to understand that we're not the ones that make choices for people, and we cannot force them, and even God can't do it. The great mission that we've been given when it comes to evangelism is to deliver the words and show people God's love, like how much God loves them through us. That's the goal. Right? God doesn't look at, God doesn't look at, oh, did you come back? Well, how many people did you meet? Well, how many people actually start studying the Bible? Well, how many people have passed? God's not looking at that. Well, I'm not saying God doesn't at all. He doesn't just look at that. God, more than anything else, is God. Everything is considered righteousness and love, because the scriptures tell us that. What is love? Love is to obey. Love is not to go out and pass someone. What the scriptures in John chapter 14, verse 15 tells us is love is obedience. Right? It's doing what God wants. It's putting God first above anything else. Because if you look in 1 Corinthians 13, verses 1 to 3, it says that even if you do any great works, but if it has no love, it means nothing. And Sunstein actually told a story about that once. That someone evangelized and brought 100 people, and Sunstein didn't acknowledge them. Why? Because they didn't know who he was. There's no love there. It doesn't say you have to obey and then 100 people have to be evangelized by the end of your life. There's nothing about that. And that's why the first frame of mind we have to change is it's not about the actual number that comes in the end. Like that's not the only thing that matters. Because we'd all be messed up then. How many people can really have anything to say that we deserve anything from God? Every single action we take and everything that we do when we obey God, go out to evangelize, rain or snow, that's all righteousness, that's all merit. All of it is. And of course, isn't it great? Yes, it is a big thing, right? It is a very, very big thing when someone passes. It is. Like, we're not going to diminish that either, like saying that, oh, well, passing lives, doesn't mean anything. No, it does. It does. And part of the things that we're trying to do is, I think a really, really good exercise for yourself is going out, meeting people for the sake of meeting them, not because of evangelism. Going with that type of frame of mind, then you feel like you failed because, I'm going out to evangelize. Then if no one comes to study, how was evangelism? Oh, it was terrible. Oh, because no one studied. No, it's got nothing to do with that. We go out and we have no idea who's ready. We pray to meet people who are ready. We pray to meet people who might have a chance. And what our responsibility and our mission for evangelism is to testify about God, is to show people God's love, which means what? Even if they say no, we still love them. All right? One of the things that I think would be really sad, and I've seen this happen a lot, is when people are here, you treat them so well, and the moment they leave, or they're not having good faith, or they leave Providence, people don't call them anymore, and people don't say anything, right? Or they don't even care. That's not love. Is that really love? Like, is love really like, oh yeah, I love you only when you're with us. But then when you're not with us, I can't love you. I'm not going to call you, do anything anymore. Like, love should stretch far beyond that. And I think that one of the things that we can do is first change the perception, the frame of mind, and really, really understand is our only mission is to show the love of God, to testify about the Lord, right? To preach or anything in that level. And what will happen next is this person feeling God's love through you, hearing the words of God through you, will make a choice on their own. And it's going to be their choice. That has nothing to do with you. It doesn't. That eventual choice is not going to be based on you. It's just not, right? And I really hope one thing that we do understand is that the frame of mind you come into evangelism with has to change. Yeah. First, just recognize, actually, it doesn't really... we can't make people's minds up. We can't force anything. The moment you force something is a moment it's no longer love. You just got to love people. And it's the same with like meeting members. Like I there's something that I think that we have to change the culture a little bit in. Sometimes is we treat people based on how well they're doing. Oh, they're coming to pre-dawn, so we treat them better. Oh, they're not coming to pre-dawn, we think something's wrong with them. It's really weird. Well, not weird. That's not what love really is, right? And I think that's something that we really have to think about also. So yeah, I'm not. So it's something that I do think that I hope that those of you that listening to this and going through that struggle, don't beat yourself over whether people says yes or no, because if you show God's love, and if you allow God to work through you, man, you've done everything you're supposed to do. And then it's their choice. Pour your love in, right? But the love that you're giving should be the love that God's love working through you. And you'll have unlimited amount of love. You see these people through God's eyes. And if they don't stay, it's sometimes really, really heartbreaking. But we also have to realize this is something that we really should think carefully about, and also understand about evangelism. Yeah, we have no power to change people's minds. And that's why we just do our best. If it doesn't work out, then it doesn't mean that you failed, because you might have planted a seed that later on they can come to this history too. So I hope this kind of helps you out a little bit. And I hope that you guys too will really be able to get your hearts and minds thinking about what God is really thinking about when it comes to his love for you, that it is God's love for you. There's no stopping. It doesn't stop anywhere. It's just, I love you no matter what. If you come back, I'm going to accept you. You just come. All right. So I hope that you guys will really benefit from this. Keep sending in your questions too. I'd love to hear more of your questions for these Friday podcasts. Okay. So that brings us into the song of choice for the day. I was going to play a certain song, but I actually am very inspired right now to play the song from Aiden Verity, from Jew Star, once again, called Believe in Me. It's a really, really good song. It's very deep. And as you heard, she wrote this song for everyone who's going through the same thing. So let's listen to that song one more time. It's going to be Juice-Star, Aiden Verity, and the song is going to be Believe in Me.
I've been fighting with the girl in the mirror, but I keep making her cry, 'cause she can't see to the future. No matter how hard she tries, a piece of heaven chipped off and fell to her. But it's so heavy to carry. Some call it a dream or a heartache, 'cause it's so hard to believe in me. Until I can say I could believe
And that was Believe in Me. That's from Juice Star, Aiden Verity. I hope you guys really enjoyed that song once again. That has debuted today, so I hope that you guys can go check her out too on her SoundCloud page. Yes, Aiden Verity, Juice Star, Aiden Verity. Great song, Believe in Me. Listen to the lyrics very carefully too. It's really, really deep. And it's very encouraging for those people too. All right, so that moves us into a time where we can talk about stories, okay? And yes, I am going to talk about another story. But do I sound very like vain? I guess because I keep talking about my stories, right? But I hope you guys can send in your stories too. But there's just I've been in Providence for about 22 years now, so there's just too many stories that. I have so many stories that sometimes I tell the same ones over and over again. I'm not sure why I do that when there's so many, but I forget about them and they just come back to me a little bit later. So I'm going to tell you about a time when I was in Australia and I was helping out a church in Melbourne. And this was a time where we were doing these Bible study parties like every weekend, right? Every weekend we were doing it. And I thought to myself, like, here, I'm all the way here in Australia. I'm a missionary. My main thing is actually lecturing, right? Like, lecturing is my main thing for sure. And I thought, okay, but I also have to kind of evangelize too. So I went like, I don't know what to do, but I have to be somewhat confident. So I said, hey, where's the closest school? It's like, oh, there's a school down here. Go check it out. So I went down to the school. I looked up the what do you call it? The Christian fellowship meetings. And I went to one of the Christian fellowships. And it was like it was really this, I'm going to be honest with you, the place where they're having the Christian fellowship, it's about 20 people, but it was really dingy in there. Like, it wasn't a very nice place. And I go in there and I'm listening to to the speaker and stuff. And honestly, I'm zoning out because I'm like, what is he saying? Oh my gosh, what's he saying, right? And I was inspired by this one girl there that, wow, there's this redhead. And redheads are very rare. They're going extinct in the entire world. I might as well meet this soon-to-be extinct redhead. Right? So I go over there and I just start talking to her and I invite her out to, I did like an intro and then I invited her out to Bible study at our apartment, right? It's like, what we did is have these parties where we do Bible study, then after we have this really good food we eat together. And the leader at that time, she was such a good cook, but yeah. So we do that and then she would come and she'd listen, right? And I think she came another week, and she came again, and she liked it. And the third week, I think it was either the second or third week, she says, "Oh yeah, my sister's coming," and her older sister's coming. So right off the top, I'm thinking to myself, like, ooh, like, oh no, someone's coming to check on their little sister. Now I have to be like, I have to go full throttle and like burn this person with the fire of the word. I wonder what's gonna happen, right? So I met this person, and then she came with her sister, her older sister, very intelligent, smart. She goes to like one of the best university in Australia. It's called ANU, and she's studying law and stuff. So she's like crazy smart. So was I intimidated? Absolutely not. Well, we could talk about that a little later time about my insecurities, but okay. So no, she's coming. It's like, okay, cool. And then I taught Peter and the fish, and at the end of it, I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, what just happened? Did we lose this newcomer because her sister's like, kind of thing, right? And after I talk with the older sister, and crazy part is, she's even more interested than her younger sister, who she came to check on. So she came to check on her younger sister to see if this Bible study was legit, if this Bible study was good at all, or is this some type of crazy place? Well, it is a crazy place. But yeah, and then crazy thing is, sister started coming to Bible study, and her younger sister, the one that originally came, never came anymore. She just stopped coming. But the older sister kept coming. And she kept learning, and she got the point super quick with it. And she realized, and she's someone like, she's great, right? So my point I'm giving to you guys right now is, like, the point I was making before is, we never know how evangelism is going to work. We just don't. And sometimes you meet someone not for them, but you meet them for someone else. And they connect someone else that you're really, really supposed to meet, or someone that God really has an eye on too. And I think it's something that we have to always be aware of, is like, hey, we just got to treat everyone really, really well, right? And we have to, when we evangelize, know that when God has a plan for us, I know evangelism kind of like we just talked about evangelism right before. It's like, oh, it's so hard sometimes, this, and this. Hey, sometimes the plan is to train you. Sometimes the plan is to, get you more excited. Sometimes the plan is to make you go through hardships. Well, it's not the plan, but you go through the hardships, and it's for you to build your mentality to become stronger and stronger. And when it comes to evangelism too, sometimes you're going to meet someone through someone else. And that's why even when you see people that are not that good, like, oh my gosh, is this person going to stay? Sometimes it's not about that person. That's why even if they're not that good, just treat them well. Treat them well. Love them to death, right? Preach them the word like this is the only person you have. I remember one time Sunstein talked about, when he preaches the word, he finds the worst person, but the one person that doesn't believe, the one person who is the worst in the audience, and he just sits there preaching like he's preaching only to that person. And his goal is, if you can get that person to change and turn, that means everyone is going to receive grace from the word, right? So, I want to, not just testimonies of you being saved by God, but, you guys got testimonies out there of doing what? You guys got to have testimonies about things that have happened when you've evangelized, right? Things turn of events changing, how things that have happened when you're managing people, things that are happening in all these other different places too, right? So I really hope that you guys send your comments in, talk about what's going on in your life, see how life is for you, and stories about evangelism. It could be how you're evangelized. It could be how God saved you. So many different things, right? So I hope that you guys will continue to send in your stories, and just we can have a really good time where a lot of people can receive the words and receive a lot of grace from the stories that we have. Cool. So that is the ending of that section. Oh, some great news. I told you guys about lecture training that's going to start next week on July 1st. Wow, great response, guys. Amazing. There's almost 20 people that have signed up all over the world. There's people in Korea, in Europe, Mongolia, Japan, Australia, Malaysia, the US, Canada, Taiwan. There's people from everywhere. So it looks pretty cool, and it makes me more inspired to make an even better lecture training for you guys too, for those of you who really want to learn how to lecture. All right, so we're going to begin that on July 1st, which is next week on Wednesday. Hope to see a lot of you guys there. And everyone else, it is Friday. What does that mean? It is time for the weekend. And if it's time for the weekend, what does that mean? It means that you guys are going to have an amazing time, especially on Sunday when you hear the words. Thank you so much for joining us this week on the Morning Star Drive on 117.8, and we'll see you again on Monday. And don't forget, Sunday edition, we're going to meet Mei Fen Lim, actress, model, producer from Malaysia. All right, everyone, have a wonderful weekend.
'Cause no one else will.
You have the power